Hi all, and welcome to the final Super Monday of 2025. I'm Daniel Godley, Senior Content Marketing Manager at Unity, and today I'm joined by some of the best experts we got here at Supersonic, Karen Levy at TS, our Director of Creative Growth, Guy Yogev, our Senior Game Designer, and Mayan Eshkol, Monetization and Economy Lead. Thanks so much for joining, guys. In just the last year, they, with a whole lot of help from the rest of the Supersonic team, led Supersonic to reach over 6.6 billion downloads and over 190 million monthly active users. They revamped Supersonic to be among the top hybrid publishers worldwide and publish hits like Unravel Master, Screw Guru, and Conquer Countries. In this end-of-year wrap-up, we'll be sharing the current state of the market, the top trends of 2025, the creative, monetization, and game design strategies that took our games to the top, and of course, predictions of what will help your game win in 2026. To close, we'll jump into a live Q&A with our experts to answer your questions. Remember, write your questions in the Q&A or chat field, and we'll get to them at the end. Let's get right into it. Okay, Guy, we're going to start off with you. Now that the hyper to hybrid shift has matured in 2025, how is the market reacting, and what does this mean for game design?
So I think that basically the market reacted to it pretty rapidly, and I think that so do we. And we can see it by our two recent successes, Screw Guru and Unravel Master. I think in terms of game design, it's important to notice that we look for the everlasting experience. So we look for the longer tails, we look for more progression system. It's not just to snap it and kill and done with it. And I think moreover, it's to get a unique experience on each single day. For example, if I'm a player and I'm logging into a game on the fourth day, the experience that I'm getting needs to be completely different on the 10th day that I'm logging in. So everything should be in mind when I'm designing a game. I need to look for the 500 levels and the 3,000 levels and not just for the 20 or 30 levels.
Okay, great, thank you. Karen, we've also seen this shift impact creatives in a really big way. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen in creatives for hyper versus hybrid?
Yeah, so I'll continue it from what Guy said as well, that we are seeing today users that are looking for a longer experience in everything. And if it's from longer sessions of users inside a game, so these are the users that eventually will see the ads that we are creating and showing up in the user acquisition strategy. And users are playing more time and they're playing less games. Okay, so the competition is really, really, there. And you have to really attract the user in a way that he would want to install and continue to play your game, to generate higher LTVs, and to be a valuable user. And how do we catch these users? It's in a very different way in how we strategize it with hyper-casual. So if in hyper-casual we were looking just for a lot of installs to drop CPI, okay, and a lot of iterations and even small tweaks between creatives could have impacted very easily the CPI. So today, this is not the case. A small drop in CPI doesn't mean that this creative would really bring me the users that will drive this long LTV, the ROASes that we need in order to with good progressions, in order to really pay back, the higher CPIs that we are seeing in the hybrid and in general in this competition field of gaming today. And for that, we need to tell a better story for the user. Why does he really need to play this game? And it means that we have to have some narrative in my ad, even if it's a 2-3 seconds story at the beginning, and then I will show the real gameplay. I still need to think about my strategy. How is my story touching the user? In what emotion? What is the engagement that I'm looking for that will trigger the user to install and continue to play the game? So we will see creatives today that are much more strategized in their story that they're telling, and it's not just simple gameplays or even those fake gameplay ads that we used to see in the past that helped us to scale a lot, drop the CPI, but not perhaps bring a lot of value, but just scale. So today we would see a very different area. Like the hooks will tell a story that is related somehow to the game, but will go then and show the real gameplay. So I think storytelling is what we're starting to see more and more in creative world.
Awesome. So Guy, Karen touched a little bit on the KPIs that come up in creative strategy. What kind of KPIs are you looking now that the shift to hybrid has happened in game design?
So we talked about longer tails. So basically, it's no longer enough to look at day one, not even day 7 retention rates. So you, after the day 14, day 30, even day 60, to look for a more sustainable experience. But it's not just that, it's also the playtime, the amount of sessions, the length of the session. It's a lot of going deep inside the small details to understand what are the, let's say, the dry metrics can tell us about the experience that the player is having, because I cannot actually go ahead and ask him. So I need kind of the assumption to understand, and by the hooking experience, the stickiness will help me to survive in this really strong and hard market. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Mayan, I want to get your input too as well, especially about monetization. Monetization was emphasized a lot less in Hyper. Now that we're gone full hybrid, what are some of the trends we're going to see or have seen in 2025?
So I think the first thing we need to understand regarding hybrid monetization, that it's not just hyper casual within a purchase, right, with IAP strategy. It's a lot more, and it's really to emphasize what Guy and Karen said. The first thing is have a really, really good core loop that is engaging. The first thing is the day 7 and the day 14 retention metrics that has to work and has to be very strong and valid in order for monetization to work. And this is like the first thing we have to have in order to do it. And the second thing is that monetization need to be not only embedded from day one, but also to feel very natural, not interruptive, not, something that just being as a top layer on top of the gameplay. Regarding the key metrics of day 7 and day 14 retention, you can see it in Unravel Master and School Guru that those games had 25 to 30%, let's say, day 7 retention, which is super crucial. And on top of that, we added those like friction of monetization. Let's say we had like in Unravel, the win streak mechanic, which is something very, very simple, but it's supernatural for the user. He's getting, in Unravel, for example, he's getting like a new ability called X-Ray. And the X-Ray only exists if he wins in a row and again, and then he has something very important to lose, something that he already earned just by winning in a streak. So that sense monetization is very natural and very embedded. You don't want to lose because you don't want to lose something, and therefore you are willing to invest. And I think another thing that is like really seeing and we need to take forward is that there is no perfect formula to have IAP versus ad ratio, right? It's not 50-50 that works or 60-40 that you have to have in order to have an amazing revenue or amazing metrics. There is no right formula, by the way. The right formula is to build your monetization around your audience, the audience you have in the game. Some games have 60-40 and they work perfect, and some have 20-80. For example, School Guru has 25-75 ratio. And it works perfect because we know how to monetize those users that we are getting. So this is, I think, what comes to it.
Cool, thank you. And great that you mentioned EO Games and all those great titles. That's going straight into my next question for you again, Guy. This year, you worked very closely with the guys at EO Games on the hit Screw Guru and Unravel Master. These are really good examples of how hybrid games can evolve while also keeping core gameplay really at the center and intact throughout. From a game design perspective, how did you decide what to keep and what to change for these titles?
So it's important that you mentioned the fact that we want to keep the core gameplay. We will touch it, I'll touch it later down the road. But basically, I think that everything needs to be tested. Like, you cannot implement new ideas and new features without being thoroughly tested, without being thoroughly understand what is the reason to even implement them at all. I think that game design-wise, you need to understand that everything, even if you implement side loops, even if you implement meta layer, everything needs to serve the core gameplay and not vice versa. I think this is the main issue when you design a game. So first, you need to focus on the core gameplay, to test it a lot, to iterate a lot, mostly on the economy design, the level design out of it, and to understand how is, again, the everlasting experience would prosper.
Okay, great, thank you. Still staying on EO games, but this time passing it back to you, Mayan. You did a lot of work on Unravel Master this year. What do you think are the biggest monetization wins you saw with that title?
Definitely, there was a great year of success. So I can't say everything because it's some of Supersonic's secret sauce. But I would say that I think the first thing we nailed very well, and we will definitely take to 2026, and any game can learn from it, is to adjust the core gameplay to all of your players. And that means even if the game is really, really challenging, and it should be, and it's a part of the fun, you also need to take into consideration those who struggle but still want to feel capable and still enjoy the gameplay. There are many ways to do it. I won't say everything, but definitely challenge your core gameplay to make sure it fits all type of users, those who are willing to pay, those who are willing to watch ads, for example. Another thing in monetization that comes as a result of this is that if in casual games, like rewarded video supports in a purchase, right? In hybrid, they coexist, and you need to balance the two all the time, again, to fit all type of users. So this is another thing we did very well this year, and I think we will definitely take, is how to balance your game economy, your game core loop, to those both type of users, ad watchers and the IEP payers. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Karen, this time I'm coming back to you. And I'm also going to broaden the scope here a little bit. So in 2025, the strongest performing creatives we saw were leaned particularly heavily on storytelling. Why is this approach so effective, and what are you going to take from it into 2026?
So as I mentioned before, like the story helps us to connect to the users and different users. So we're still having the users that we know from the past that like to watch ads and play a game and continue to watch ads, and this is the way they progress. And we have now new segment of users that we want to hold on and bring them because we know how valuable they are for the ecosystem of a hybrid game, and those are the paying users. And for those users, it's a bit more complex on how to catch them. There are different it's not like a big audience like we knew in hyper casual. You will see that sometimes creatives that are touching a specific emotion will show really good results, but will not scale that much inside the campaign. We will not want to kill that because it might work on a specific segment that is a bit smaller and cannot scale. And we would try to really attack all the type of audiences in different ways of storytelling. If it's a storytelling that is showing a bit more of a frustration emotion, another one that will show more humor, another one that will take it to another direction. They all give us kind of an incrementality, in my user acquisition strategy, because it's very hard to reach to those users. They're more expensive, they're more hard to really grab and make them install. And we need them for a longer time in order for it to be valuable. So my creatives will really be in a very big range of different type of strategies that I will take with the creative team in order to be more incremental, more precise in the users I'm buying and bringing into the campaign. And this is why storytelling helps me to reach to those users that with hyper casual I know the work. You can show the gameplay, show a little bit of like either it's a progression or kind of a failure, and it still works. It's not dead in creative. You still need to have these creatives because those users are still there. They're not gone. But it's either they became a bit more sophisticated, so you need to be as well, or like you need to find those new ones that are paying inside the game to bring them inside.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, this time I'm going to do a combo effort. So we're going to get a bit of Guy and Mayan action going on. So this year reinforced that nothing beats strong core gameplay. What approach did you take to keep players hooked on the core experience and more likely to convert? And can you provide us a specific example from one of the games we worked on this year?
You want to go? So, as Mayan mentioned before, I think the main take of ours on gameplay is to keep it on the core. Sometimes you tend to look at game like a huge pot where you stir a lot of stuff together, you pour a lot of, and sometimes it doesn't work. I think that the main key is to keep the core and to iterate on the core and try to make it as approachable as possible to different segments. One example that I would like to give is basically to keep it on the core as an holistic experience. For example, a lot of games turn like to the main menu screen from level 4. Sometimes all the time, like the common practice is changing, but basically from level 4, from level 7, we try to iterate on this one and to exemplify and to say that let's keep it, let's not going back to the main menu because people want to keep playing. As much as we don't have anything crucial to show them on the main menu, so let's keep it again in the core. So I think this is one of the main texts that we can learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Maybe to share, like again, as Guy said, the core loop is the most important takeout, but also once you show monetization during the level itself, it has to be in the right time and to really like fit to what the player is experiencing right now. Is he failing? Is he about to lose the strike he already worked very strong on? Those type of emotions and frictions of points in the game where the users actually needs your monetization offer, whether it's RV, by the way, or in a purchase, just to show it on the right timing. And this is why it's really important to design it together. Both monetization and the game design need to co-work from day one once we create the game.
Awesome. Well, I'm a big fan of your joint operations, so as long as you guys keep doing it together, I'm happy. Okay, Karen, I'm going to turn back to you. So this one is about AI, which is a big topic, obviously, especially in the world of creatives. And obviously it's made a huge impact in the way creatives tell stories and are produced. What are some of the best ways you've seen AI being used in the last year, and where do you see it falling short and still needs a human touch?
Wow, it's a big topic. But AI has really got into our lives, I think like 2 years ago. It started with these like small image generations, or like small assets that we were not sure how to use. And I think in the last year, it like kind of exploded with tons of tools and a lot of capabilities that AI is continuing to develop and show like better ways to use it. And what happened this year is actually we can really talk about storytelling in creatives. Because if we would talk 2 years ago, we would not be able to really talk about storytelling and being a scalable studio that generates creative for UA in a publisher such as Supersonic that published more than 130 games. Like, how can you scale that up and still tell stories? Because telling a story in a creative, in an ad, takes a lot of time to generate. It's an artist, it's a lot of people and skills that you need to do in order to make it feel authentic and good and like matching the game. And then AI solved all these issues, right? And we can tell stories today without having these skills physically here. And you just need to have someone that directs the AI well, that knows how to use the AI well, that has this, image in their head that they know to execute it together with the AI to make an end product that makes sense to UA, to the market, to how I'm buying and which campaigns I'm using in user acquisition, and attaches to performance, of course, because we can tell beautiful stories. If they don't work, there's no reason to continue and use the AI tools or tell stories. But obviously we are seeing that with scale and adding a story to your creative in your strategy even, performance talks by itself. So we are seeing uplifts of 30% in different titles that we are seeing creatives with the storytelling. And the storytelling can also, as I said, be the first 2-3 seconds. After that, you will see the gameplay. How are we showing the gameplay? If it's attached somehow to an emotion, we want to say, so yeah, there's a lot of thought behind that. But eventually, you need only the first 2, 3, 4 seconds that a user is scrolling in an endless world of data and a lot of ads that they're seeing out there and scrolling like in the middle of the night through tons of apps. He needs to stop, he needs to click, and he needs to install. So this is the most important part, and then AI is really helpful here, creating the assets, even helping with the ideation to shorten that time, and making it just a full, holistic solution for UA. Of course, that it's not solving everything, and there's a lot of control that you need to take as a human being on it, but it has saved a lot of time and actually doing things that we couldn't do before.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, Mayan, I'm going to pass it back to you here. In many hybrid games, only a small share of players convert to paying users. What smart strategies have you seen for monetizing low conversion audiences in 2025? And how do you ensure monetization doesn't negatively impact the player experience?
Definitely. It is true for any, by the way, type of genre, because eventually it's all the time that a small portion of users actually purchasing. And I think one of a myth bursting, even though you didn't ask, is that we can attract high conversion users and we can attract high value paying users in hybrid casual. But how in general should we attract users in all type of audiences to pay eventually within a purchase? So the first thing is to segment the offer, to segment the funnel of the offers, meaning obviously you want a user to become a first-time depositor as soon as he installed the game, which is amazing. But some players, you need to work harder for them. So we need to track them, see what they're doing in the game, how are they invested in this and that type of features, and to offer them maybe different offer with different prices and different timing, different even content of offers, to actually see what's value to the users the most at that specific moment. So it means that we have a funnel that the users can go through, and each time we will offer them something different. That's in terms of in-app purchase. But obviously, because we're talking in hybrid, then revenue, rewarded video revenue is very, very important, and it's crucial both for us and both for the players. So we are offering them RVs, segmented RVs, also in a different timing and in different type of offers, and also taking sometimes features that more relatable as an in-app purchase. For example, rolling in-app purchase offer can become, and it is becoming, a rolling offer in RV, and it's attracting the users, it's giving them the sense of something that they maybe didn't want to buy, but they will invest their time, right? Their time in seconds to watch the RV. So this is how we do it basically, and the way not to negatively affect, it's like we talked before, no interactive ads, no interactive in-app purchase. It's not just about the login and then boom, you offer an in-app purchase or an RV and the user should convert. It's offering that in the right time, that it feels seamless almost, and also that it's the right time for the users to actually, that he needs it in order to progress in the game, in order to pass the level. Those type of events would not interfere the gameplay, and then it's not going to be negative.
100%. I mean, the player's there for the game, right?
Exactly.
So you don't want to get in the way. Awesome. Okay, Guy, I'm turning it back to you. Successful monetization is directly tied to a balanced difficulty curve. In 2026, how can studios make sure their games are challenging without frustrating their players?
So it's kind of, as we understand, the level design is kind of contemplates the monetization. I think that much like we said regarding economy and everything, everything needs to be tested. Like you start with some sort of a configuration of some strong reference points that you add. Maybe it's even one of your games that you relied on, but pretty soon you learn that your target audience is even your own target audience is being matured enough that you need to establish a new configuration and test it over and over again. I want to say something that I feel that I encounter with a lot of studios that I work with. You do not need to be afraid to implement hard levels, because you always balance it with the APS, the attempts per success, you balance it with the churn rate, but obviously you balance it with the conversion rate. So obviously I don't necessarily mind if the conversion is good enough. I need to always balance it to see what will be the perfect match to do so. And I think this is mainly the secret sauce of how the whole engine, especially in puzzle games, how it works. So this is a level design in 2026.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so Karen, I know we already talked about AI a little bit, but you can never talk enough about AI. So going back to it, we spoke a little bit about how it's enabling faster creative production. How do you balance AI content while maintaining a human touch so it doesn't feel like it just came from a robot?
So I think one of the most important things you have to understand when wanting to work with AI or like get the help of AI in your creatives is that AI doesn't have a taste. Okay, it's not a human being. He doesn't have the what a human being has of being judgmental to your work. Okay, and taste is not there, not yet at least. Like, okay, maybe it will improve, of course, and we're seeing things improving, but for now you need to understand that you're the one that needs to be the judgmental in this process in order to give this more authentic feeling of really what makes you feel really frustrated, okay? Or what makes you feel loved, or what makes you feel that you want to laugh, okay? What makes AI laugh and what makes you laugh is not the same thing, okay? And this is where you need to be the leader in the process, okay? Not let it lead you, okay? It's just an accelerator for your process, and this is how you need to take it today. It's not replacing people. It's not in creative. It just lets you be much more creative than what you are when you have this, like, a lot of operational work on the desk. Okay, it takes away from you like a lot of things that usually takes time and then shuts you down a bit, and you cannot get to them because you don't have time. You have to finish this and that and a lot of small tasks. So it accelerates you in those areas, and then you're really free to be more judgmental on the ideations that he's proposing. What's good? How can I iterate it a bit more? Let me talk with them a bit, like let me do it, fine tune it and take it to the right direction where it feels authentic. It's like really, there's logic inside of it for the gameplay itself, because if a user will see a story, he will install from the ad, and then the gameplay doesn't make sense to what he felt or what he saw, he will not stay there. He might play for it for 7 days, maybe 14 days, but that's it. Like, we won't see him stay for longer in the game. And of course, like, paying in the game is very rare in these cases where he's very like disappointed. You know, a user that is disappointed from what he's seen in the ad and what he's getting in the game is a user that will not stay for sure. So this is where AI can be very tricky, and you have to put a lot of thought in that. So he's your accelerator. He's not replacing you in any way, and it just lets you be much more creative.
Okay. Now you got me wondering what AI finds funny. Okay.
You can try.
Don't go there.
Afterwards, my next thing. Dynamic monetization.
Mm-hmm.
It's become a major trend this year. What signals or player behaviors should teams look for when deciding the perfect moment to present an offer?
So it comes back to those seamless, natural moments, and it's definitely everything. First of all, relates to late retention, right? So adjusting monetization to users that are playing more than just their first 7 days of the game. Then it would be failure moment, lose the loss aversion, like lose the win strike you worked so hard to maintain. Different milestones during like a challenge you are experiencing, so it's a great timing once you are close to the final milestone, or just like above something that you know, now I'm gonna win this for sure, this is a perfect timing to show an ad. Those type of things that progress you in the game, that feels that the users are in need, I think those would be the most important signals. And the more seamless, the more natural, the better.
Okay.
In that sense.
So just like real life, got to
Exactly.
find the right moment to make the offer. Okay, now this one's for everybody. Now that 2026 is almost here and 2025 is nearly over, what predictions do you have for next year, and what trends / best practices do you think are going to be moving the needle for publishers and studios?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, please.
All right. So I know I haven't talked enough about this topic, but I think that puzzles are here to stay. Maybe on a different, like maybe we'll see a new, or maybe bringing back all the mechanics that we used to see back in the day. But this is the first assumption that I would throw to the table. The second one is I think, and we already see it from other aspects in the market, we definitely might see new subgenres arising, mostly to tackle with elements of the creatives of the user acquisition. So I think that this might be another assumption that I would take.
Awesome. Karen, I'm going to pass it on to you.
So it's the year of AI to really explode. I have to say it. Sorry.
It's okay.
But I think that AI, people will start really adapting AI more in their funnels, and from the moment they're starting to think of an idea of a game to the moment they're actually building the game, because the AI can actually do it. And that's where the AI will come in a lot, in the places where it's saving us a lot of operational time, of the work on coding and the work on creating something that is very repetitive, or thinking about, or like really helping us saving time there, because we will see more and more stories, okay? And people will get more time to think about strategies on what does my audience really likes? What drives the in-app purchases to my game? Is it an emotion? Is it a specific thing inside the game? I will have more time to analyze it, to test it, and to get the results from it. This is what I think will happen in 26. People will be much more precise to their specific audience. It's not a wide audience anymore. It's like you need to find those groups of audiences and what works for them. And that's where the AI will impact the most. And it will impact the creative, of course, and user acquisition as well. So like, what is my strategy when I'm approaching new campaigns? If AI will save me time on analyzing trends and things that usually take me half a day until I get the data, analyze it, understand, take actions from it. So we'll do it in 10 minutes. Then I'll have more time to work on all the game strategy and between all the media sources, and understand which media source is incremental. How am I bringing incrementality with creatives? Is something eating me from another place, and it's not valuable for me? So these are the areas I'm seeing in 26 will become more important to tackle.
Okay, wow. That's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's see.
Yeah, Mayan.
AI, obviously. No, actually, of course, live ops and monetization are meeting already, and we'll meet AI more and more, by the way. Yeah, eventually we also need to scale and to show many, many different type of live ops events, and those will definitely be very used in AI. But when we talk about monetization, so I think the first thing would be as much as embedded as you can in the core loop, definitely less and less aggressive within time. Also make sure we are, and I think the segmentation, when we talked about segmenting, you usually talk about in-app purchase segmentation, paying user segmentation, but in 2026, as we understand that both ad watchers and IP pairs coexist together, then segmenting, it's already happening, but it needs to happen a lot more, segmenting the ad revenue in your game. It can be from many streamlines, and the users are very different also when it comes to ad monetization. So definitely that, and I think that's it pretty much.
Okay, great. Well, great answer to finish off my questions. So we're going to move forward to the live Q&A now, going on to your guys' questions at home or at work. And we're going to start off with this one for the group. Can idle games still show success? I think...
no one wants to
Maya.
answer.
I think we'll start with Maya.
Of course. Of course. Eventually, listen, it's also a matter of luck. And of course, any genre can work as long as it retains the users, as long as the progression feels a lot like progression, and as long as you have the option to give content and resources to each type of user. It's definitely maybe a bit more niche, right? But that doesn't mean you cannot succeed in a niche. There are many idle games that works amazingly, and I think that you need to really crack it and to make sure the economy in idle games, it's complicated, and you also need to address that. So you need to have a very strong team and a good idea, but definitely yes.
Okay, great. So strong economy, you have a chance.
Yeah.
Okay. So this time I'm going to turn it to Guy. How can teams balance sensory features like animations and visual ASMR with production constraints, especially for fast-moving hybrid projects?
I think that sometimes we tend to overlook those elements in games and when we create games because we want to look at the mechanic and the core gameplay and to understand, okay, so all the features interact good with each other, but sometimes the tangibility of those elements, and you see it really closely in Unravel. When you tap on a yarn, when it goes to you, the animation, the haptics, everything it needs to be just in place. I think this is, again, like everything, it's all a matter of like trial and error, to test it and to see, try with, and the best advice that I can give to a developer is to say, listen, from the moment you work on a Unity editor, you can sense if this is right or not. This is exactly what it is. If you sense that it's not, you need to stretch it out to work on something else.
Okay, so trust your gut and test.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So Mayam, back to you. All the questions happen to be for you. Progression depth is now critical for D7, D14 retention. What are some effective ways to design progression systems that remain exciting over weeks, even not just days?
Not just, sorry?
Days.
Of course, I think just what we talked about, like having those things that keep the users really engaged is the win streaks. It's the fact that he has to work very hard in order to maintain some ability that he got from the game. Obviously, we have many other things that could be worked on, mini games, things that keeps you in the core loop, but that maybe takes you out, but feeds the core loop while you are playing. So those type of things really feeding the day 7 and day 14 retention. But above all, the game should have enough content and should be still very, very fun to play, regardless of all the things that I just mentioned around, right? So the core gameplay still needs to be very, very good and to have enough content and engaging content just within the levels themselves. So the levels should be as fun as possible.
Okay, you want to keep a player playing, give them a good game.
Exactly.
Okay, so this one's for you, Karen, finally. So about creatives. Story-driven creatives clearly outperform standard mechanical demos. How can smaller teams create emotionally resonant narratives without heavy production budgets?
I don't think we're not even putting heavy budgets when we're creating a creative that has a story inside. Because when you're producing in scale and you need a lot of creatives eventually, it's not using story in your creatives doesn't mean you need to produce less. Even the opposite, like you need to produce more. You have to have these new creatives running in your campaigns a lot in order to have it. And how do you do it? Sorry, but with AI. And at that, like, you need to find the tools that will make sense to your team and the skills you have inside your team and the group in order to be seamless in the process of working on creatives. It doesn't need to be a hassle. It doesn't need to be something that will take you X time, like double the time of what you usually work on a creative, because then it doesn't really make sense. Like, we are trying to save time. So if in the same time you're working today, you're creating better creatives with story, then that's already like a win for your team, and start from there. Like, try to do just better assets, better things that a bit connects like with emotions to the users, and don't look for a story that starts from second 1 to the 30 seconds. It needs to be very short. Users are today looking at the first few seconds, and this is what like connects them to the ad. Afterwards, if they will see the gameplay and they liked it, this is the user you want. You don't want a user that you're trying to convince through 30 seconds and telling a branded story in a kind of a Pixar movie. Like, it won't get you the value that you're looking for from that user. But think of the first few seconds that he's scrolling and you need to stop, and what will like pull his attention in a world full of media, full of ideas, full of creatives. Okay, so the AI can help you either make beautiful assets, precise assets, or even create those 2-3 seconds of video that will start your creative. And this will accelerate your production in the team like 10 times than what you have today, and start from there, and then you'll see that it's naturally like becoming part of the process, and it'll be hard to go back.
Okay, so it's about impact, not how much you're spending.
Yes.
Great. What are some creative ways that you can turn IAP rewards into ad-based offers that feel natural and appealing to non-paying users? I think this one is for you again, Mayan.
No problem. There are some features, that we will be keeping as premium for in-app purchase, because it's also very important to show users the difference between in-app purchase and ad revenue. You want to make sure this distinguish is very, very strong. However, so obviously some features will stay premium to in-app purchase, but definitely every personal offer that you suggest within in-app purchase, you can also suggest as an RV opportunity. Rolling offer, for example, as I mentioned, it's something that is already live in Unravel Master, and it works amazing because it gives the player the sense of something that other maybe can buy, but I can watch within an RV. Obviously, the most important part is to limit it at some point, just to make sure that it's not like overkilling it. But any offer that we offer in in-app purchase basically can also be offered as an ad, and it should definitely be segmented. So again, of course, you can use it because it's the really important revenue driver in hybrid casual. But just make sure some features will be limited as rewarded video, and RVs, of course, would be the opportunity for those players as well.
Awesome, thank you. So unfortunately, this will be our last question since our experts have to go make some great games. And this one is for you, Karen. How do you measure whether a story-driven creative is resonating emotionally with players before scaling it?
It has to scale. It's hard on. Can you repeat it?
Sure. How do you measure whether a creative that focuses on story is actually resonating with audiences emotionally before you decide to scale it?
So it's mostly about, it is the scale. Like, we do want to see the creative that is driving some scale in the campaign. Otherwise, the algorithms will not let it pick up and even give the chance to see the potential of like the impact on the user. So if it's not scaling up and I don't have enough of users to understand if it's driving IAP or maybe ad revenue more, okay, so it will be hard for me to really know. It has to have some decent scale at some level. Otherwise, like, it will be hard to analyze. And how do I know it is, first of all, it will scale, and then I will have to look on the more bottom funnel of the users. So it's not about the CPI, okay? I can even see a higher CPI than my best performing creative that shows, I don't know, $1. I can see here a 1.2 or 1.3. It doesn't need to frighten you in that specific moment, okay? You need to go down the funnel. What is my ROAS for day 7? And then maybe I can see a longer progression on that creative. Maybe I'm bringing users that are bringing me great ROAS in the later days, and then it's a big value for the campaign, okay? And I would also look at what is the share of purchases on that specific creative that drove the users from that specific creative. Because if I'm not scaling to the top spender of the campaign, but I am driving from this specific creative, 60%, I don't know, of it is revenues of in-app purchases. It's a really strong creative. And then you need to take that creative and continue to iterate on it and understand what drove the purchases and how can I make it more scalable, like more marketable, you know, for the users. How can I make it scale more and bring me more purchases in that way? And this is like the tree of iterations you need to do with the creative.
Okay, I see. So it's like the scaling in and of itself is how you know it's emotionally resonating.
Yes, for sure. The
Awesome.
conversions, you want to see users eventually clicking and installing. Okay, so if I have a high install rate, it means that something worked in the creative. Okay, but if they didn't install, I need to understand, okay, what stopped the user. So we need to go inside the funnel and really understand that the points where you lost most of the users, okay, and how can you improve it with the creative. So if I brought a lot of installs, but maybe not conversions. If I brought installs, I brought clicks and installs, what happened later. If it's more purchases or more ads, I need to understand what worked in the creative to drive more purchases or more ads. What depends on your goals and strategy for that campaign.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. I know I feel ready to go make a killer game. That was the final Super Monday of 2025. We're going to see you next year. A huge thanks to Guy, Karen, and Mayan for joining us today. Be sure to follow us on socials and visit our website to learn more about how Supersonic can enable your games. And we'll see you in the first Monday of 2026. Happy holidays and see you then.